By 2015, the digital wellness boom had reached its peak. Online, success meant projecting perfect health through a carefully curated, sunlit lens. Belle Gibson operated out of Melbourne, Australia, which became the base for her burgeoning global lifestyle empire. That empire belonged to Belle Gibson. Anchored by a wildly popular mobile app and cookbook called the Whole Pantry, Gibson's personal brand was projected to become a $4 million enterprise. Her massive economic expansion rested on a single compelling origin story. Gibson claims she was diagnosed with terminal, inoperable brain cancer in 2009 and given just 4 months to live. According to her, she cured the disease entirely through nutrition and lifestyle modifications. Public trust in traditional medical institutions was steadily declining. This created an audience desperate for an everyday hero who could seemingly defy scientific reality simply by making the right lifestyle choices. To understand the sheer scale of the deception, you have to look back at her early life. Born in Tasmania in October 1991, Gibson had a deeply ingrained behavioral pattern of medical fabrication long before she ever downloaded Instagram. During her time at Wynnum State High School in Queensland, she was already known among classmates for inventing dramatic, non-existent medical crises, including claims that she had suffered heart attacks and survived childhood leukemia. This diagram highlights the biological impossibility of the claims she eventually brought to her online audience. By July 2014, she had expanded her public diagnosis portfolio to include active cancers in her blood, spleen, uterus, liver, and kidney. She also strategically claimed she had suffered a severe reaction to Gardasil. Gardasil is a common vaccine, primarily used to prevent cervical cancer. Blaming the vaccine allowed her to immediately capture a highly motivated and loyal audience of anti-vaccination advocates. Her stories grew increasingly extreme to keep her followers engaged. She told her audience she had endured a stroke and even survived a heart surgery where she supposedly died on the operating table. Clinical literature describes this behavior as Munchausen syndrome by internet. It is a psychological disorder where an individual feigns illness online to elicit sympathy and care. The borderless digital landscape allowed Gibson to extract infinite emotional validation and eventually massive profit from fabricated trauma. The transition from personal blog to commercial juggernaut happened in August 2013 with the launch of the Whole Pantry mobile app. The app was an instant hit, generating over 200,000 downloads in its first month. While the Gibson empire was projected as a $4 million enterprise, forensic accountants uncovered only $440,500 in traceable revenue. The fatal flaw was a missing $300,000 charity donation that never arrived. The Whole Pantry functioned as the digital infrastructure for an entire movement. Believing the hype, users spent $3.79 to access the specific methods that had supposedly allowed Gibson to survive against all odds. Gibson's fraud achieved true global scale because it was endorsed by tech giants. In 2014, Apple collaborated directly with Gibson, elevating the Whole Pantry to a pre-installed default application for the highly anticipated launch of the Apple Watch. At the exact same time, Lantern Books, an imprint of Penguin, published her high-end tabletop cookbook. They sent the book to print without ever verifying a single piece of medical evidence regarding her terminal cancer. Penguin later admitted they published the work in good faith. Publishers bypassed their standard checks and balances, prioritizing a highly profitable wellness trend over basic factual reality. This institutional complicity was the engine of her success. By featuring her in global marketing campaigns and prominent bookstores, these corporations granted Gibson a level of technological and cultural legitimacy that actual medical professionals rarely attain. The collapse began in early 2015. Investigative journalists Richard Gilliatt, Bo Donnelly, and Nick Toscano started auditing Gibson's financial claims, pulling at the threads of her highly publicized philanthropy. When they contacted the designated organizations, they made a crucial discovery. Out of the $300,000 publicly promised to charities and sick children, only about $10,000 had actually been donated. The financial scrutiny forced the medical lies into the spotlight. In an April 2015 interview with the Weekly Review, Gibson finally confessed, stating bluntly, "None of it's true." Her audience had ignored obvious medical inconsistencies for years because of a parasocial bond. A parasocial bond is a one-sided psychological relationship where followers feel a deep personal intimacy with a media figure they have never actually met. In 2017, the Federal Court of Australia intervened. Justice Mortimer found Gibson guilty of 5 separate counts of misleading and deceptive conduct, noting her actions were a calculated effort to manipulate her followers for profit. This ledger breaks down the penalty structure: $150,000 for deceiving consumers, $50,000 for failing to donate launch proceeds, $30,000 for misleading event claims, and $90,000 for failing to donate company profits. The total civil penalty reached $410,000. Facing the fine, Gibson told the court she was entirely broke, claiming she had just $50 to $85. But financial forensics told a different story. Between 2017 and 2019, she spent roughly $91,000 on luxury expenses, including $13,000 on clothes and cosmetics. While she claimed total insolvency to a federal judge, she was actively hiding assets in cryptocurrency and financing multiple international vacations to Bali and Africa. The $4 million Mirage serves as an indictment of an unverified digital ecosystem. Protecting the public requires a restoration of institutional trust and a strict commitment to evidence-based reality. Deleting a few social media accounts is insufficient on its own.